The Holdovers, directed by Alexander Payne, tells the story of a troubled teen stuck at his New England boarding school over Christmas break, being chaperoned by a hard-ass, humorless classics teacher who hates him, and a cook grieving the loss of her son. I'm John. This is a review for the aforementioned Holdovers film that came out last year in 2023, October, though I believe it was shown at a film festival before then. I'm forgetting the name, but I should have written it down. Spoilers for this movie, minor spoilers. I don't think I'm going to spoil the whole thing, though nothing is safe. So yes, this is a review for The Holdovers. I'm not going to have too much to say about this movie because it's just really good. It's a really good movie. I watched it as part of a marathon of Oscar movies, of Oscar-nominated movies for the 2024 Oscars. I say marathon, but it was more like I was going to watch a few films leading up to the days before. I was going to watch a few films throughout February until we got to the Oscar week, and then I was going to watch a lot more. But it turns out the internet lied to me, because even though when I looked up when is the 2024 Oscars, and it said March 12th, Tuesday the 12th. No, that was a lie, apparently. It was the 10th. It was Sunday the 10th. So, womp womp. Can't trust Google, I guess. Not always. So, yeah, I'm not going to do that. I'm probably not going to be reviewing any more Oscar films. Like I watched one more. I watched the, what was it called? The Remarkable Life of Henry Sugar, which was not that remarkable. Or maybe it was wonderful. It wasn't that wonderful either. And that was about it. I'm probably going to go back to, I haven't done this, but I'm going to go to reviewing just any old movie I've watched. I currently was watching, was it Mary and the Witch's Flowers, which is that definitely not a weird rip-off adjacent film to Studio Ghibli. It's more like the Burger King to Ghibli's McDonald's, I guess you can call it, to be nice. Anyway, but yeah, The Holdovers, I'm not going to have a lot to say about this movie because it's just really good. It's a 10 out of 10. To briefly explain why I gave it a 10 out of 10, I think I need to explain what it means for a film to be a 10 out of 10. And to do that, I'm going to briefly explain my rating system. I have a rating system out of 10. I'm not going to go over every single individual score, though each score does mean a specific thing. So a 3 out of 10 doesn't just mean the nebulous, oh, I don't know, it was kind of bad. It refers to, I think specifically I described it as bad, but it does not physically hurt to watch, and there's a few redeeming qualities. I have very specific definitions for the scores, for my scoring. But anyway, a 1 out of 10 is just awful, terrible, worst movie ever. It's just garbage. There's no redeeming qualities. That one's pretty basic. Something like a 5 out of 10 is a movie that's just really average, or sometimes it can mean a movie that has an equal balance of good and bad elements. And that doesn't really happen most of the time. Films the good outweighs the bad slightly, and it ends up being a 6 out of 10. Other times the bad outweighs the good slightly, and it ends up being a 4 out of 10. But most of the time I give 5 out of 10s to just average movies that I don't have anything to say about. 7 out of 10 is just a really good movie with some glaring issues, some noticeable problems. If you were pitching a 7 out of 10 to a friend, you would be like, oh yeah, this movie's great, but, with a big italicized but. And then a 10 out of 10, or which is the same thing as a 9 out of 10. A 9 out of 10 is just a fantastic movie. Basically, I have no problems with it. A 10 out of 10 is the same thing as a 9 out of 10. It's not a perfect movie, because there's no such thing as a perfect movie. It just means that in some way, shape, or form, the film has convinced me that, trying to find a way to phrase this succinctly. It has convinced me that if someone told me they watched this in a film class, like in college, like I wouldn't question it. Like I wouldn't question the choice. And it would have been like a 9 out of 10 otherwise. Like there are some important films that are just like not that good that people watch in film classes because they're important. And there are just some 9 out of 10 movies that you watch in film class, but like 10 out of 10 is like, oh, this was a good movie and it makes absolutely perfect sense that like you watch this in a film class. Or to put it in a more, I guess, specific way, in a more like helpful way, if you claim to be a fan, if you claim what fucking gatekeeping something, don't even know what I'm talking about. Any very gatekeeping language. If you are a fan of a genre, of a specific genre, like you are a fan of westerns or fantasy, and I give a 10 out of 10 to a western or a fantasy film, that means, in my opinion, that should be required viewing for all fans of that genre. So, like, if you're into, like, musicals, I think you should watch La La Land. I think that's required viewing if you're a fan of musicals, because I think La La Land is a 10 out of 10 musical. Same goes for like Lord of the Rings for fantasy fans. You know, if you're a fan of fantasy, like fantasy stories with like, you know, magic and dragons and all that, you need to watch Lord of the Rings, and that's why it's a 10 out of 10. It would have been a 9 out of 10 otherwise. There are some like films that I considered like, oh, if you're a fan of westerns, you should probably watch this, like this movie. But like, it's still an 8 out of 10 because like for whatever reason, it has to be very specifically. It would have been a 9 out of 10 otherwise, and it meets these additional qualifications. With that out of the way, yeah, that's why The Holdovers is a 10 out of 10, because if you're a fan of like, I don't know if there's a term for this genre or this type of story, but like begrudging mentor and apprentice, like learning to care for each other and grow as the story goes along. Like if you're a fan of that type of story, you need to watch this movie. It is really good. It does a really good job at it. It's a very simple story. If you look at reviews on Letterboxd or anywhere, that's probably what people will say the most, is that it's a very simple film made right, or a simple meal made right. That's the expression. Yeah, there's just nothing wrong is coming to mind about it. The story is not complicated. It's a very, very simple story. As I said, some asshole teenager is stuck at his New England boarding school, mostly because his mom is a terrible person who's like, oh, I want to go on honeymoon with your stepdad, and I don't want you to come along, and she just keeps him there. And the only chaperone available is a teacher who he hates and who hates him, who's this like played by Paul Giamatti, who's like giving this like fantastic performance. He got nominated for Best Actor, and yeah, he absolutely deserved that nomination. I kind of wish he won. Like, I don't get me wrong, I knew Cillian Murphy was gonna win, because you know it was Oppenheimer, and the Oppenheimer's type of movie the Oscars loved, and I knew they were going to love. So I knew Cillian Murphy was going to win that. But I think Paul Giamatti should have won. He gives this fantastic performance as this like big dick, like asshole from academia whose only life is his job. Like that's the only thing he has going for him, is the fact that he's this professor at this like very high-end boarding school. And he really gets off at the fact of like failing people, and not out of a way of like, oh, I just like people, like watching people suffer, but it's coming more from a place of like adding to his reputation and adding to the school's reputation of being like a hard place to succeed at. Like in his mind, boarding school is not an easy thing. You just like, you know, you fly through, you know, it's something you actually have to dedicate work to. So that's why he really gets a kick out of like failing these kids. It's not the only reason. And there's more complex reasons that are explored throughout the film for why he kind of hates the kids he teaches. And I won't go too much into why, because I don't want to spoil everything just for the sake of spoiling it. But I also don't want to like talk about everything that's a spoiler, because most of the stuff I don't have too much to say about. You know, like this, most of the spoilers in the movies, I guess, make sense. Like you can probably see coming, but like, I don't know, it still works. The way the movie ends, like in hindsight, makes like total sense. It ends that way, but like, it caught me off guard in the sense that like, it still fucking sucked that it had to happen. You know, like I knew from a narrative point of view that like what happened had to happen, but like it did kick me in the dick. Like it hurt. Um, like, and that's kind of like why this movie works, is that it's very like, it does this thing in writing I myself love to do in my own writing, where it presents like surface level characters, or like what you assume to be surface level characters. Like you got like the asshole teenager who thinks he's better than everyone and he's a smart ass and he's just like, oh yeah, I'm so smart and, you know, whatever. And you got like the asshole teacher archetype who's like a Professor Snape type. Like he would be like one of the side antagonists in like a fantasy boarding school novel like Harry Potter, you know? But you got those characters, and you got this cook lady who's like just sad that her son died in Vietnam, I think, because it takes place in the 70s. And they really like do a good job depicting that, like making it clear like, hey, this is the 70s and we're going to do some creative things with the filter and cinematography. That's not just the lazy like, oh shit, guys, check this out, we got the fucking like 70s filter on our iMovie program, let's just slap it over the footage. Like no, they actually gave a shit and they tried to make it like look like a movie from the 70s without it just like looking like a lazy filter, which is cool. Good job, them. Like the movie even starts using the old logos, like the old like Universal logo and the old like whatever the production company was. And starting with that little warning that appeared in old 70s films that were like, oh, warning, this might not be like suitable to all audiences, FBI, don't screen this, you know, whatever. Like they did that, and I really like that. Yeah, but like it shows like these characters that like look very basic on the surface, and as the movie progresses, you like understand them more and more, and you fall in love with them more and more, and you sympathize with them more and more. And like Paul Giamatti's character slowly starts to care for this other kid. Oh, what was his name? I don't know. This other kid, the main kid, who was giving this great performance. And I looked him up, and I like it said it in the opening credits that this was his first performance, like introducing this actor. And yeah, this is his first like acting performance, I think. And like he fucking, you know, I'm gonna look this up because he fucking nails it. And I do want to give a shout out to this guy. Shout out on my tiny ass YouTube channel. A now famous actor, or well-known actor, I should say. But he can get all the help he deserves. The Holdovers. Yep, Dominic Sessa. Is that how you pronounce his name? Sessa or Shesha? Angus Tully. That's right. Yeah, he does a phenomenal job. He is definitely a theater kid, but in a way that's like not annoying, but more in like a, oh, you've done a lot of Shakespeare in community college, didn't you? If that makes sense. Like, yeah, he gives a banging performance. It's really good. Honestly, I kind of wish he got nominated for an Oscar. I think he would have deserved that too. Yeah, I just don't have too much to say about this movie. I got a little off track. But you see the Paul Giamatti's character, I think his name is Paul Hunnam, like warming up to like the kid, and he's like goes out of his way to like do these little things. Like the cute one that like made my heart melt was on Christmas, and he got like bought this shitty Charlie Brown Christmas tree and like set it up in like the mess hall, and like did a little like Christmas morning for him, for you know, the teenager, for the, I just looked up his name, Angus and the cook lady. And he goes like, I got you guys some gifts, and he just gives them both a copy of Marcus Aurelius's the Meditations, which is pretty funny. Yeah, this movie it's a comedy too, but it doesn't have a lot of laugh out loud moment. It's more like not cringy Office humor. Like The Office, that show, but like take the humor of The Office and make it not cringy or that like cringe-worthy. Like, and like that's kind of like the humor of The Holdovers. It's very casual, it's very down to earth, and it's the type of humor that just kind of like won't make you laugh, but it will make you smile and it might make you chuckle. Yeah, it's a good movie. Do I have any other notes? The cook lady, who I don't remember the name of, she was very sympathetic and I really liked her a lot, but I didn't really fully know why she was there. Like, I think I can see a version of this movie where she's not in it, and that might sound like unfair, but like, I don't know. I'm glad she's in it, but like, they kind of prop her up to main character status when I think she should have just been regulated to like a side character, because I don't fully understand why she's like considered one of the main characters. It's just a little weird. That might be unfair of me to say. Like, I kind of I want to rewatch this movie, and I plan to. So like, I'll make an addendum in the comments, I guess, if my feelings change about the cook lady. I'm calling her cook lady not to be condescending. I'm just bad with names. Okay, like I loved both the professor and the kid, and I forgot both of their names. Do I have anything else in my notes? I don't think I do. Yeah, this is probably going to be my shortest review, and it's still 17 minutes almost. That's all I have to say. So, yeah, see ya.